of Soweto will be receiving their feedback from the mayor's office in about 14 days. She's promised to do so. That's Dr. Mpho Phalatse saying that there'll be a progress report given after 14 days with the leaders of the residents of Soweto. Now, all roads earlier led to the city as the disgruntled residents took their frustrations directly to the mayor's office. Thousands of residents marching into Johannesburg to protest against the lack of service delivery and constant power cuts. These have seen people without electricity for days, even months, and some of them even longer than 1 year. My colleague, reporter Nqobile Madlala, is following these developments. Let's go to her live now. She's inside the mayor's office. Dr. Mpho Phalatse, I'm sure just to get a sense from her what happened earlier today. Nqobile, she's promised 14 days, a progress report will come. I just wonder how easy or how possible it is going to she be able to deliver that with a list of demands.
Well, Britan, that's indeed the question, and I actually want to pose it to her as the mayor. Mayor, you've promised 14 days. How possible is it to answer to these demands?
Well, 14 days is the time that we will give them an update. We're going to start consulting with everybody, all the stakeholders internally and externally. We had Eskom and SAPS here today. It looks like we need to bring in Home Affairs. If we look at some of the issues they're raising, I looked at some of the placards. We, of course, have to read through the memorandums, all 10 of them, and find out exactly what is in there. And we will decide if we need to co-opt any more stakeholders. We will have a steering committee that will be run from this office, where we will start to work together towards resolving their issues.
I mean, quite a lot of issues, but I mean, I think one that was burning for a lot of people that we kept hearing is the electricity issue. How are you going to fix this electricity issue at this point?
So the problem is an Eskom-specific problem. However, they want the city to get involved. They want the city to mediate on their behalf and get Eskom to hear them out. And my assessment, having listened to all the inputs, is that people are beginning to realize the importance of paying for services. But Eskom waited too long. So now there's this mountain of debt, and people don't have that money. But it does look like going forward, they're willing to start contributing. Now, if you look at what the city of Joburg has done, we reintroduced the debt rehabilitation program when we started to give people an opportunity to have their debt written off. The reason we did that is primarily because we want to set them free, from the old debt and give them a chance to be rehabilitated and become faithful ratepayers. And I think this is something Eskom and National Treasury need to potentially consider, because if we can get the culture of non-payment to change going forward, that is a big win for every single resident in the city. And I believe that there's hope. I believe today was a watershed moment. We're not fighting, we're talking, we're engaging, we're being real with each other. But I do think that Eskom and Treasury have some conversations that you need to have.
And I think touching on that Eskom issue, a lot of them saying that the issues with not having electricity also now means that there's a lot of crime happening in the area. How are you going to solve that now?
Well, we'll continue with our city safety strategy. We've already started joint operations with the SAPS, the Hawks, the state security agencies, JMPD and GFIS internally. That work will continue. But yes, of course, once there's electricity, then it's safer, and it's easy for our policing, our law enforcement agencies to also do policing. So that work will carry on. But ultimately, Eskom and National Treasury need to find each other around the historical debt, and then we need to reach out to the people of Soweto, educate them on the importance of paying their bills, and we start on a clean slate and we help them pay going forward. I just think that Eskom also waited too long.
And I like the fact that you're saying that you are not fighting, that you're saying that this is a conversation that is ongoing. Can we expect to see you then on the ground with some of the residents? Because that's what they also cried about, that they don't see much of you on the ground.
Well, absolutely. I don't think residents are aware of this. We had to do in 5 months what is normally done in a year. We were playing catch up. The timing of the elections, all the deadlines that we were chasing, the adjustment budgets, and then the next financial year's budgets, everything that we've been doing, we were under a tremendous pressure. I mean, we left most nights at 9 p.m., some nights 11 p.m. we left the office. That's how we've been working. Finally, now we've approved our plans, we've approved our budget. Come 1st of July, our new budget kicks in. We can work like normal people again. And then, yes, we'll be on the ground and we'll spend lots of time with the people of Soweto and other parts of the city.
And I think also just to follow that, we saw the residents coming in with children. I mean, that's worrying because most of them are supposed to be in school. They're saying that their schools are affected. Can we expect the mayor to also maybe rope in MEC of Education?
Oh, absolutely. So as I said, whichever other stakeholders we will discover as we go through the memorandums that they should be part of the steering committee, we will co-opt them and work with them because ultimately we want to resolve the issues.
Thank you very much. Mayor Dr. Mpho Phalatse, as you heard Deborah Dunn, she's saying that 14 days is what they are going to be using to look at all those issues, and she is willing to address this. I think what's also important is that she's saying this was a watershed moment, that it was important for this to happen for them to go forward.
Yeah, Nqobile, you've been on the ground. I mean, just speaking to the mayor now, this is now in the after. There was a before, and you were on the ground at Maponya Mall this morning on the streets of Soweto as they were getting to buses, as they were preparing themselves, they're making their way to Johannesburg and being on the ground. I understand you managed to speak, of course, to a number of Soweto residents. What were they telling you?
Well, President, just like what I was asking the mayor here, a lot of them highlighted issues with electricity. I think what they've been clear about is that not having electricity has also affected their daily lives. A lot of them talking about the fact that there are people that are using oxygen, and this has been hard without electricity. Some people that have medication that needs to sit in the fridge, they can't do that without electricity. Some even talking about the fact that it's even difficult to be on the outside in the dark as there's no electricity, but also now what has started happening is that they've started seeing more crime. And so this has had a ripple effect really in terms of their lives going forward. And this, of course, has been very, very difficult for the residents. And these were some of the stuff that they said they wanted to highlight to the mayor. But a lot of them really, really hurt. You can see and you could feel from a lot of them that this is very difficult. We saw some of the young people that came from school who also were saying that things like technology cannot be used in the school because there's no electricity. So more than anything, Bradan, you can see how their lives have been affected as a whole, as going forward. And so they were very clear that these are things that they need to highlight going forward, that they wanted the mayor to see and they wanted the mayor to respond to. Also the leaders saying that there's a lot to talk about because the social issues in Soweto are now a major issue, and they want the mayor to obviously look at those certain things, recreational parks. They started talking about Kaya Magadla, who also had that incident, the family still waiting for closure, and they were talking about how all these things could be sorted, but of course it all depends on how the community works with the mayor, and this is why they were all getting into those buses in Maponya Mall, and we saw them convoy here. They were really, really just hoping for the answers, which we do believe that according to the mayor, that will come in 14 days, and also going forward from July, then they will have more answers for the community.
At least that progress update will come in 14 days as they try to tackle this myriad of challenges faced by the people of Soweto. Thank you very much, Nqobile Madlala, from the office of the Executive Mayor of the Joburg Metro, Dr. Mpho Phalatse.